Welcome to another episode of Wheel of Horror, the podcast where two best friends spin a wheel once a week. It chooses the horror movie and they discuss it. Today we're talking about 2013's Evil Dead, the remake. And that was directed by Fede Alvarez. I'm your co-host, Alec. And joining me today is...
Matt Banever.
I thought you were going to do the I'm Eric.
I thought about it. I was like, oh, should I? But that's Justin's thing.
That's true. That's true. I listened back to our episode and you're like, hey, you didn't set it up for me. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to set it up for him this time. But then Justin did start doing it after that. So you're right. You're right.
Exactly. So yeah, he stole my thunder. But no, he crushes it. I'm Eric.
I know. I want to know what Eric thinks. He's like, do I really sound like that?
Just wandering around Vegas saying it. I don't say it like that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, dude, thank you so much for filling in. Eric is in Vegas at a bachelor party, so
lucky him.
Yeah, dude, right? But you did Evil Dead 1981 a few months ago with me, right?
Yeah, so this is pretty awesome because that one was just us also.
Exactly. So perfect that we get to talk about the remake. And I mean, I've seen this so many freaking times, but you've seen it before, right?
This might be my 8th or 9th time seeing it. I think I saw it once in theaters.
Okay, cool. I saw it in theaters too. And it's funny, you mentioned something earlier before the podcast, and I kind of want to talk about that too. So I went and saw this in theaters with Kelly, my ex-girlfriend, 10 years ago. And she's like, I don't want to see it. It looks scary. I'm like, it's not scary. It'll be fun. I'm like, I love the original. It's campy. It probably won't be that bad. When we left the theater, she was walking 10 paces in front of me. And I was like, hey. She's like, no, don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't talk to me. And she got in the car. And I was like, all right, I'm sorry. That was actually really scary. I'm sorry.
It's so funny. Yeah. I've watched this with a couple friends, but a couple girls, just it never is a planned thing. It's just hey, let's just throw on Evil Dead. But I just watched it with this girl recently, and I was like, it's not that bad. It's fine. It'll be it's scary, but I gotta watch it for this podcast. It'll be good. It's the first movie we watched together was Coda. And then we were all right, I was like, oh, well, let's watch Evil Dead a week later. We had to turn it off halfway through. You just forget how unrelenting it is. It's just non-stop and gets worse and worse and worse and worse. So we stopped right after the girl had the nails all in her face and everything like that. I was like, all right, I'm pulling the plug. I'm making the executive decision. We don't have to do this anymore. So I actually had to finish it this morning.
Oh my God. I was going to ask, what part was the part where she's just all right, I can't do this.
Yeah. She was just looking away. I just can't even do this. And the girl's her voice changes back and she's like, why are you doing this? My face hurts. And I was just all right. Yeah. I had forget, I watched it. Yeah. Probably 7 or 8 times. And then I haven't seen it in maybe 4 years or something. So I forgot a lot. Even after we turned it off, she was like, well, tell me the ending. And I was like, I honestly don't really remember the ending. Cause I think, we watched the original. So I was like, what's the difference? And I couldn't really remember it. So when I watched it this morning, I was like, oh, that's right.
Yeah, they are pretty different. I mean, this is considered a reboot or whatever, but Fede Alvarez, the director, said this does take place in the same continuity. So it is not a sequel, but it is in the same world. And I don't know if you noticed the car that Mia's sitting on in the beginning. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's Ash's car.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing that also. I think this strikes the perfect balance between reboot remake. It paying homage isn't the right way to describe it. It takes what made the original so good and just gave it a very revamped twist, 2013 with all of the effects and whatever, but didn't go overboard with CGI.
No,
which was awesome. And I read a fact on IMDb that this film used about 70,000 gallons of fake blood. And
Yeah.
Fede Alvarez said that they used 50,000, but the original one used 200 to 300 gallons of fake blood.
I read that too. I was like, that's crazy. Yeah, Fede Alvarez said they used 50,000 just for the final scene.
Yeah.
Just in that like rain blood scene or whatever. Yeah.
Even when I was watching that scene and she like takes like the chainsaw to the little devil girl and just
Yeah.
like the lagoon of blood that like shoots into her face.
Yeah, I
Like,
know.
it was just like Johnny Depp getting killed in Friday the 13th. It's just like one human could not have this much blood in
Yeah.
that movie. It was just like absolutely like a cannon of blood shooting at her.
That's probably the only thing that kind of stays true to the original, where it's like over the top campy blood, and this because this movie's not funny at all. This movie does not have the goofiness or any of that, but it does have that unbelievably over the top amount of blood, comical amount of blood. But it looks real, at least this time.
Yeah. So what I liked, and I like that we had this discussion in the last podcast, that the original one and movies back in the day were not focused on character development, character story. It was much more about the story. And then you had people in that story. How are they going to get through? The only point of the original one was like, oh my God, these people are going to get killed in the craziest ways possible. I don't really care anything about who they are, how they got here, or anything like that. Whereas this one, so focused on the drug addiction, the brother-sister relationship, the mom, all that. The only person that you don't care about but plays a big role is like the best friend, who probably has the worst life possible.
Oh.
Like, dude, I was just like watching it. I was like, this guy, this like squid-looking guy, the amount of pain this guy suffered through in this movie is outrageous.
I know, and he lives till the end too, so you're just like, they're just making his, like, literally every single scene. He gets nails, he gets stabbed in the eye with a needle, he gets his hand broken apart, he gets like, but back to what you were saying about the development of the characters, this time it was a little bit cringe for me how over the top the exposition was in the beginning, where he's just like, I'm your big bro, of course I'd come. I was like, all right, like, so there was almost to the point where, you know, it's like, oh, it's a teacher made you an old coot. And like, they're like really dropping a lot in the first like lines. I guess they need to do that, but you're right. Like, they establish the relationships of who everybody is very quickly. Nurse, teacher, big brother, big in from the city, like all this stuff.
Right. Yeah. And like, I think that that's kind of maybe a new age campy feel to it. Like, it did get ridiculous. And even at the end where he's like, I'm going to do what's necessary. And like, it's just like all those things where it's like, I'm the brother. I got to do like what I have to do to save my sister. It's like, all right, like whatever. Like, we're just trying to make you kill this devil. Like, that's all anybody cares about. You know, we don't need like the whole, I'm going to avenge you because I failed the family aspect to it. You know, it's like, it is a big part of it. And I remember like, I think you did Evil Dead 2 with Justin, and you brought up this topic, and he was like, nah, fuck that.
Yeah.
But like, no, like, it is true. Like, it is a big part of this movie, how they're just like, we have to have feelings in this.
When I first saw it, I liked it because it gave a justification for why they couldn't leave. But now revisiting it after our conversation, it does. It just kind of like, you're like, all right, so she's a heroin addict and they've been through this before. So we learned so much about these people that are going to be dead very soon anyways. So you're kind of like, I don't really need it. Like, it's fine. They're friends and they're there or whatever. I think my favorite line of all of this, though, is when Mia's like, you weren't there for our mother and she used to always call your name and all this stuff. It's like, I just got a job at the garage and I couldn't find time to get away. I'm like, what? I was thinking, I'm like, all right, he must be like a doctor or like something that like you really can't get away. He got a job at a garage
down the street at the Jiffy Lube. He easily could have visited.
He's like, I was an assistant manager at Pet Boys. I couldn't find the time. It's like, come on, dude. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe that was just like his bullshit excuse. But the other thing is the girlfriend, dude. I was like, you know, she's a fine actress and everything like that, but like her character sucked.
Oh my God. Her character was so useless. They just needed another body to kill.
Right. And I was like, you're going to put so much investment into like, okay, this nurse that's like very protective. I'm giving her the same thing they would have done at the hospital. Like she's really, invested in that. The other guy's a teacher that hates his friend. They all do have a lot going on, but the girlfriend just like vanilla, just nothing going on.
Right. I even like forgot what her role was at one point in the movie until the brother like puts his arm around her or something. I was like, oh yeah, that's right, you're dating. Like,
Yeah.
just like, what are you doing here?
I know. The other thing is they do show like a lot of the buzz saw or whatever. They're showing all the things, the nail gun that are going to come back into play later.
Oh
But
yeah.
I was thinking, would they bring a pot roast to this
Right.
like cabin to like
Yeah.
because they're like taking the knife and they're chopping it up. I'm like, PBJ was just out of the question. They're like, we
I know, right? The amount of like foreshadowing is like, all right.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just,
I'm trying to imagine you rent a cab and you're like, I brought this pot roast. It's like the place looks like shit.
yeah, exactly. Like, who's hungry for like me? I know we just found 37 dead cats downstairs, but like,
I know no one's like, do you want to go see if there's like a McDonald's in town or something?
right. Exactly. Like nobody like thought to bring like pizza or anything. But
Yeah.
the only amount of backstory and stuff that I did like is I did like how they explained a lot more of like what the evil was in the forest. It's not just a ghost in the forest. Like it's witchcraft or voodoo or whatever it is. It's like it's in this book. It's been around for a while. Like I liked that aspect. It really kind of it kept you in the house feeling like, okay, I know what this thing is, rather than just like, holy shit, like where's the devil going to come from next?
Right. It's almost like we don't need to know more about the people that are going to get killed, but we do want to know more about the killer and why
Yeah.
they're doing it, sort of thing. Dude, the opening of this movie, we kind of brushed over it before we even meet the friends and all that stuff. That's such a scary way to open the movie. You just get a
Oh my
girl running through the creepiest, like Silent Hill, foggy forest. She gets
Yeah.
captured by these two guys. They put a bag over her and they bust her head open with a shotgun.
yeah.
Wakes up surrounded by like, what are those people supposed to be? Are they like burn victims? Or are they like,
Yeah, and like how like they're all speaking these crazy languages and like yeah, no that and when I watched it this recent time, I was just like, holy shit, I forgot about this scene. And this scene is so intense, but it really does an amazing job of setting the tone of this movie. You get everything in there, like grotesque violence. You get the manipulation from the daughter changing the voice. You're like, oh, okay, so this is like this demon is not holding back, or whatever this spirit is not holding back. It's out for just pure evil.
first of all, yes, it sets the tone so much higher. You're like, I remember Kelly probably was just like, all right, what the fuck? It's been 3 minutes and there's a girl lit on fire, like telling her to go fuck herself, like getting her head shot off. And apparently that the language that the people are speaking was Welsh. I looked that up on IMDb or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, so like they're in Michigan in the woods with like a Welsh cult that has, I'm like, what is going on? There's so many parts here.
Yeah.
But yeah, great way to start the movie. There's dead cats everywhere. It's so scary.
Yeah.
So this, I'm assuming, must have taken place after Ash and all of that happened. So like a lot of stuff, I guess, happens between Army of Darkness and this part, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. And I like that, Fede Alvarez said that it's in the universe, but there's not, you can totally walk into this movie without knowing anything else.
Totally.
That's cool. Like, having seen the others, cause I hadn't seen the original when I watched this for the first time. And right. I like that you're just totally new. And even after I watched the original, it's like cool little nods here and there, but it's not like, say, a Marvel movie where you're like, oh, they brought that up like in 10 movies ago, and that's so cool that they did that. It's really just its own movie with its own story and everything. I like that a lot.
Well, I guess Sam Raimi was very on board when he had seen something that Fede Alvarez had directed. It was like some CGI short, and it was really cool. So he's like, hey, he's a young filmmaker. He's making this on weekends. Like, I don't know. Let's see what he can do. But Bruce Campbell was like, no. Like, seriously, no. He's like, this is bullshit. But they're like, hey, we're going to do it without an Ash character. And then he's like, Actually, that sounds awesome. Let's do it. So,
Yeah.
and which I can understand because, like, try and imagine them bringing in an Ash character into this movie.
Oh yeah, no, it would have been just so bizarre.
Yeah, and you're watching somebody like doing an impression of somebody that's like so iconic. It would have been so weird. So I think not having that was such a good idea.
Yeah, because then also the people going to see it for that Ash character would have been very disappointed because the tone is totally different.
Yeah.
You know? So it's its own movie that stands, well without that, but still fits perfectly in that universe. I thought that the girl, Mia, I
Mm.
mean, that was like one of the best acting like roles ever. She just totally committed 110% to everything, no matter how weird it was. And I was watching some of like the making of on the DVD,
Mm.
and
Today's episode of Wheel of Horror is brought to you by Bard's Clothing. Remember that one time you bought a Cool Cat shirt, and now you get bombarded with calls and ads for Cool Cat shirts? At Bard's Clothing, the focus is on you and your story. A custom clothing company producing casual knits, button-down shirts, suits, and much more. All of Bard's clothing garments are created right here in America, so you don't have to worry about slave labor or killing the environment. Buying with intention to tell your story has never been easier. Go to bardsclothing.com to book an appointment, and be sure to follow them at Bards Clothing on Instagram. This episode of Wheel of Horror is sponsored by Newsly. Newsly is an all-in-one audio super app for iOS and Android. It picks up articles about the most trending topics on the web at any given moment and reads them to you in a natural human voice. For the first time ever in all of the internet, the entire web becomes listenable all in one place. Browse articles from topics you choose and start playing. Stop scrolling, start listening. You can follow any topic as specific as you like, from sports, science, to Bitcoin, or even the Kardashians. If you find the latest articles, you can have them read aloud to you. And they even have podcasts. Explore trending podcasts from over 50 countries. Wheel of Horror, obviously, is on there too. Download and use Newsly for free now from www.newsly.me or from the link in the description. And use promo code Wheel of Horror at checkout, and you can receive 1 month free of premium subscription. That's Wheel of Horror at checkout.
she keeps doing the when her head's like popped up out of the little basement. She keeps doing all the singing and she keeps laughing and stuff like because it's so ridiculous. And even Fede Alvarez was like the beautiful thing about this movie is we can do all these takes and it looks so stupid when you're doing it, but when you put it in the movie, it looks amazing. And I was like, hell yeah, that's like the perfect way to go about a horror movie. Like, just commit to it. It doesn't matter how stupid it looks, how dumb you feel, but when we edit it, it's going to look amazing, you know?
With the music and the lighting, and yeah, dude. No,
Yeah.
100%. I actually watched that too. I bought the Blu-ray for this. I was like,
Oh, yeah? Nice.
yeah, because there's the place across the street that was selling it. I was like, sweet. So I bought it, watched that, and yeah, like they're like action, and then she's like freaking out, and then she can't keep it together, and it's so.
Yeah.
I love watching behind the scenes, especially with horror stuff when people are in like full makeup and they're just
Yeah.
like hanging out, like having coffee, and they look like Pennywise or whatever. Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
man. But you're right, Jane Levy. Like, dude, the scene where she's in the bed and she's like so scared, and
Oh
David
my
comes in.
God.
Like the acting there, I mean, it's fantastic. Like
That's one of the most gut-wrenching scenes. You're just like, you totally believe her. And
Yep.
you know, it's just like, oh my God, what is about to happen? And not like what's about to happen next, but like, what are these people in for?
And it's one of the scariest ideas. If you just like were to tell somebody, it's like, imagine you and your friends all go to the woods, your best friend, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever, and you all have to kill each other.
Yeah.
That's like such a scary idea. Nobody would believe you when you survive and leave. They're like, where is everybody? You're like, the fucking the woods came alive. They're like, okay, lock her up.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the heroin addict got raped by a tree and then she started killing everybody. Like, oh, okay, that's it.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. I'm glad you brought that up, the tree rape scene. So they did it in this again. You know, they kind of brought it back, but it's less, I don't know, forceful, I guess, than the original. I don't know. It's weird. It's like a slimy thing that comes out of a demon and then crawls up her leg. But anyways, also good on the friends for not being like, Mia, you fucking destroyed my car.
Right.
Like, what? Like, you stole my car? Like, there's no scene
Yeah.
where they're like, she just fucking totaled my car, guys. Like,
Right, exactly. Like, oh, so are we gonna exchange insurance information now? It's just
yeah, Mia, you got Geico, right? Like,
yeah, full
oh,
coverage.
oh my God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they gave the backstory of the characters, which got a little, to your point, cringe, but they didn't totally force the realism. There was just like, all right, like at the end of the day, this is an absurd horror movie,
Yeah.
which I like that they stuck to. I love gore. Now that I'm getting older, I am finding that I have a little bit less of a tolerance for it. That scene with the girlfriend and the nail gun, oh my God. Like that's probably got to be one of the most intensely violent scenes ever shot and that I have ever seen. And I've seen like the Human Centipede and all these other ones. And that one is just for how violent it is when she just comes in, starts wrecking people with the nail gun. You see like the nails through their arms and everything, and then
Oh,
just getting both of her arms like blown off and whatever. And then, yeah, just the changing of the voice. I mean, it's right up there. And I think it stands one notch above the Hills Have Eyes crazy scene where it's just like the rape and burning the father and all that. I think those two scenes, out of all the movies I've ever seen, all the gore movies, and I own all 8 Saw movies, and like I think that those two scenes are the hardest scenes to watch for just, oh my God, I feel like I'm nailed to the floor watching this.
it is relentless,
Yeah,
and the entire movie's like that. But this is kind of the point where it's about like 50 minutes into the movie, this scene, and you're just like, is this ever gonna let up? Am I ever gonna get like a breath of just like, okay, like the sun's up or like anything? This is
right.
the scene where just like you're like, nope, we have plateaued and it's never gonna stop, guys. So
Right. And that's where we had to turn it off because I was like, I need you to know it's not going to get easier.
no, even the
Yeah.
character acknowledges it. He's like, everything has gotten worse every single
Yeah.
second. Like, yeah.
When she rocks him with that crowbar and like rips his arm in half, I was just like, oh my God. Like that was truly, I also love how this movie just makes the human body look like this flimsy thing. Like at the end when Mia's arm is stuck under the car and she just like
Oh,
pulls her arm out. It's like that is not how this would work. Like you would
dude.
pull like your skeleton out of the skin. It's not like the bone would just rip.
Ah.
Yeah. I was watching it this morning and I was like, all right, like now we're fully in camp mode.
Yeah, that scene, yeah, it looks like she's just like a slice of pizza. She's pulling it apart. It's
Jesus
so hard
Christ.
to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I did. You said earlier too, he does stick to like not a lot of CGI, which was really good. Just
Yeah.
having a lot of practical effects. But yeah, the nail gun scene, I'm kind of like, could this happen? I mean, are nail guns that strong without like an air tank or something like that? Like, I was
Yeah.
kind of like, all right, like I'm whatever, I'm on board, I'm fine.
Right. Right.
But
Yeah.
two things I noticed, and maybe you can clear them up. Who did kill the dog? Was it Mia, or was it actually like, I feel like they wouldn't have let her get out at that point, to the point where she's going to get a hammer and beat the dog's head in. Like, or do you think it was the woods and the demons and stuff?
I think it was Mia because they showed the scene earlier where she got out the window. You
Mm.
know, I know I thought about that also, and I think that just because they showed that like she does have access to the window, that's what happened. Like she got out, did it, crawled back in, and was like freaking out about everything. But yeah, it was weird that they just kind of put that in there and didn't explain it at all.
Yeah,
It was
I
like,
don't
yeah,
know.
here's a dead dog. We showed you dead cats. Here's a dead dog.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I was just like, all right. The other thing is, and maybe I missed this. So there's two cars. There's the red Jeep, and then there's the blue whatever little car that
Yeah,
Mia crashes. So at the end, when they're resurrecting Mia or whatever, I think he uses a car battery to like stab into her, right?
yeah.
So where did he get that? Because there was only two cars, and then at the end, like they're planning on driving away with that Jeep.
Wasn't there like a montage scene where he's like grabbing everything? I think it was like in the basement.
Okay, so he found that? Yeah, because I was trying to remember, because I just watched it a little while ago, and I was like, did I miss it maybe? But it looks like he has a car battery, and I'm like, there isn't another car. So, okay, maybe he found it in the basement, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was like a montage scene and he just like found it in the basement. But yeah, I was noticing like at the end when he does all that, I'm like, what? Where did he get like? What are these needles? Like what? Like how also like does he know that this is gonna work?
Oh,
Like
yeah,
I've
yeah.
never seen this in a movie where somebody, because if I ever had to defibrillate somebody, I would do like Mission Impossible, like fill a water, in a silver tank, something like that. I would never think like grab giant syringes and that's what's going to conduct electricity. Like that was the most absurd plot point ever. I was like, this is like, what about plastic needles is going to make electricity go through them?
Yeah, yeah. That was another thing. And then the last thing, which I'm just kind of like, so when at the end when David frees Mia's back alive, and then the long-haired guy's coming back to kill him, he locks Mia out and then blows up the house or whatever.
Yeah.
Dude, if he didn't kill himself, that wouldn't have been 5 souls. So like, what are you doing? You have the gun, right? Just shoot him and you and Mia run, because the thing needs 5 souls. You've already established that. You killing
True.
yourself lets this happen. So you think you're helping Mia, you're actually killing yourself, leaving her outside, and then bringing the demon in.
Right. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Even watching it this past time, I was like, that felt like a bit of an overreaction to just blow the house up.
Yeah.
Like I was just like that could not have been, because it's not like the guy was running after him, attacking him. Like he easily could have just figured something else out.
Yeah. I don't know. Like he had the shotgun, so I'm like, shoot him in the leg, like blow his leg off, and then you and Mia like limp your way out of there and hope you find a fucking anywhere else. I don't
Right.
know.
And now Mia's just got like one weird hand and like struggling. Her brother's all dead, and like who knows if the car has a battery, even though it's on its side with her hand all in it.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the movie ends, a little weird, you're right? She's just kind of stumbling into the woods. But
Right.
apparently they're making a sequel. Have you heard about this?
That's been in development, right, for a while.
Yeah, so it's called Evil Dead Rises, I think, and apparently it's coming on HBO Max this year.
Oh wow.
So you're right, though. Every time I see like Evil Dead sequel, I look it up and it's just like, obviously, this isn't happening. But this actually, I think this is real.
Wow, that's going to be awesome. I mean, I'm surprised that it didn't happen right away, because this movie crushed.
Yeah.
Like it exceeded everybody's expectations, and I mean definitely mine. Like you go into it thinking like, oh, like the original one's so campy, this one's going to be like too serious, but it struck such a perfect chord. But I think that it was also ahead of all of these new age A24 awesome horror movies. So I think it was like a little bit of ahead of its time of like, oh wow, like what a good horror movie. Like I don't know what to do with that.
Well, it was also coming off the tail of like so many shitty remakes from this time. I mean,
Right.
Nightmare on Elm Street was 2010, Friday the 13th was 2009, Halloween, the Rob Zombie one. So, I mean, most of those are pretty bad, but like, I
Right.
think our expectations for remakes was kind of low at that point. And
Yeah,
then,
but also like even just rated R movies, like
yeah,
studios were like, I mean, you got Logan and Deadpool that took forever to come, but I think like around this time, like the 2010s, like people were like, all right, like we could actually make money with rated R movies. So they kind of leaned into it. And this movie perfectly showed like, all right, you can have a rated R horror movie that actually does amazing, unlike PG-13 Freddy versus Jason. It's like, what is this movie for? Like why even make a movie like that? If you're gonna do it, like go all out.
Freddy vs. Jason was rated R, and it actually made
Sure.
100%. It made a lot of money.
What am I thinking of? What was PG-13?
I don't know. Like a shitty horror movie that was PG-13. Valentine, maybe? I don't know.
I don't know, but all right, maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, I mean, like rated R movies, just banking on those to be box office hits is a pretty new thing.
Oh, no, for sure. I mean, especially, yeah, there was like some shitty PG-13 horror movies. There definitely were. I don't know why I can't think of any now. But this movie, for a $17 million budget, it made $97 million. Like,
That's
you're right.
insane.
this should have been like an immediate sequel. Like, what
Right.
were they doing? But I am looking here. Evil Dead Rises, yeah, it says is scheduled to be released in the United States on HBO Max in 2022. It is the 4th film in the original series. Wait, I thought this was the 4th film in the original. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, we'll see what happens. Hopefully that does come out. I know Bruce Campbell's not coming back, so it's going to be a new characters. Maybe Mia will be back.
That would be pretty odd. Yeah, she's got like the chainsaw arm hand thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of surprised they didn't bring Mia into the Ash vs. Evil Dead TV show. I feel like they definitely could have like wedged her in somewhere.
Yeah, that actress, she was originally in Shameless.
Wait, oh yeah, she was in like the first couple episodes,
Yeah,
right?
and then they recast her.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe she's just kind of particular about what she does and doesn't do. But I mean, this role was like perfect. She nailed this role. All of the other characters completely arbitrary, who they were, what they did at all. She was perfect in this role.
She really plays scared, but also just kind of like, I don't know, she really was like a drug addict, like just kind of.
Yeah, she had the whole look of like, wow, like you just kind of look at her in the beginning and you're like, shit,
Yeah.
you have had a rough go.
Yeah,
Whereas the other ones, I'm like, I look at the brother and I'm like, nothing about you says, you're sad about working at Jiffy Lube and doing all of this. Like, nothing of that. The nurse, same thing. Nothing about you says nurse. Mia, her character, she was just like, wow, okay, you embodied this through and through. And then she nailed like all the screaming and the yelling, but even the weird stuff, like overacting, like it didn't feel like overacting. She was just going for it 100%, which was beautiful.
Yeah, this is Mia's movie. I mean, for sure, of any of the characters.
Yeah.
I even like thinking back on David, the main male character, dude, he is useless. Every single time he's about to basically get killed, somebody saves him. And then when other people are about to get killed, he's like, he can't do anything. So he's just, I don't know, man. I did not like his character very much.
Yeah, no, he was trash.
Yeah.
And also, like, why they're like different races? Like, Mia's so pale, and he's like this Mediterranean, like a beautiful olive skinned, like dark like, featured boy. It's like, oh, okay, like Mia stayed back an all drug addict, and you got to go live up your life working at AutoZone. Like,
yeah, you're right though. They don't look anything alike.
Right.
Like,
so funny.
Yeah. Was there any parts that, I mean, I'm sure there were, but like, what are the scariest parts to you of the film?
The scariest part for sure is, well, I guess there's two, but they're different kinds of scariest. One, Mia all scared on the bed talking about who's in there with her. Like that is just like, my God, like makes your hair stand up. You're just like, oh my God, this is so creepy. Yeah. But the second scariest part is when the girlfriend is on the stairs and she falls and Mia crawls on her and she has the box cutter blade and like cuts her tongue in half. Like that scene is just like terrifying. It is gory, but you're much more fearful because I think of how claustrophobic it is. You're like, get up the stairs. Oh my God, you can't. Like that one's much scarier. Whereas the girlfriend with like the nails in her face and everything like that was just more like action, gore, or sensory overload. So yeah, the stairs scene, just every time I watch it, I'm like almost like hands covering my eyes thing.
Dude, I both of those scenes are pretty much mine too. Dude, the shadow when her head like comes out of the darkness and it's just like, yeah.
Oh my God, you're like, holy shit, this is pure evil. Like this thing is so terrifying.
That scene, that image scares me. And then the other image that gets me, obviously, like when they're on the bed and they're talking and then they look in the mirror and she's there, that was scary. But when he's like burying her at the end and the bag's over her head.
Oh, yeah.
And she's just kind of like laughing for a second.
Ugh.
That image has stuck with me since the first time I saw this movie. It's just like perfectly lit. The way her face is reacting. I'm like, I am so shaken to my core for that, dude.
Yeah, no, it really is just like, it's those little scenes that keep bringing you back to this is a pure horror movie through and through. Like You get the over the top violence, you get like the little bit of campiness, but like it's those little scenes that are so profound where you're like, this is actually terrifying.
No, yeah, seriously. Yeah, I mean, even the poster says, like, the most terrifying film experience you'll ever have.
Yeah, I showed that to this girl like after the fact. And she was like, why would you make me watch this? I was like, I'm sorry. That was not a good call on my part.
Well, it is a good movie. I mean, I've seen it same as you, like probably upwards of 10 times since it came out. Just bought it on Blu-ray, so I can't recommend this. Probably one of my favorite remakes, honestly. I mean,
Yeah, I've heard you say that before, and I definitely agree. There's something about this film where it's a movie that I want to show people.
mhm.
You know, there's not a lot of horror movies that I feel like that. You know, there's gory movies where I'm like, oh yeah, I mean, if you're sick and twisted, watch, you know, Saw or Human Centipede. This is one movie where I'm like, you should like, let's watch this together. Like, there's something about this movie that is good. Like, it's still a good movie.
Oh yeah.
You know, I'm just like, damn, like it is tough, and it nobody comes out of this like that wasn't that bad. You know, I actually think the only person maybe who thought that was Becca, my
Really?
sister. I think she was just like, bah, please. That's like a Saturday morning for me. Like it's just like
What is she watching? Like Faces of Death on VHS? Like what is she watching?
Exactly. I think she's the only person who was like, that movie's dumb. But
What?
yeah, for the most part, this movie, every time I show it to somebody, they're like, that was the most horrible thing I've ever seen, but like in a good way. You know, they're like, yeah, wow, that really does. Because usually when you say like, here's a scary movie we should watch, 90% of the time people are like, that wasn't that bad, that wasn't that scary, or that one part was scary. This is the only movie going experience where people are like, you motherfucker, why did you make me watch this?
Well, it's kind of what you're saying earlier, where it's just like Saw gives you breaks. Like it's like a CSI episode in between this torture. Like there's a lot of like downtime where you can kind of catch your breath and be like, okay, it's not nonstop. This movie is a nonstop roller coaster ride from beginning to end that never lets up. So you're right. It's not like a lot of other movies.
No, it's one of my go-to watch with friends movies, which is crazy, you know? Like, because if somebody was to ask me what are my favorite movies, in no world would this movie come up. But when people are like, oh, like, what should we watch? This is immediately one of the first things that comes to mind.
Well, no one's going to be on their phone, you know? Like everyone's going to be watching this like, what? Like, especially if you haven't seen it, like, it never lets up, so...
No, definitely. The unrelenting pace of this is just not many movies can do that. And if they do, the ending is such a letdown. Whereas this movie, I mean, the ending is a little weird, but like, I can't name a horror movie that has a good ending. This is probably one of the best ones where you're like, damn, that was quite a crescendo.
Yeah, dude.
I cannot recommend this movie enough. And out of all the horror movies that I've come on here for, I'm like, you know, The Thing is one of my top favorite horror movies of all time. I definitely get that is a very particular movie. It's not one that I often recommend to people. This movie, if you're listening, you have to watch this movie. The next time you're like, let's take a chance on a horror movie, Evil Dead 2013 is the movie to do.
Damn, dude. That's very high praise, and I feel the same way. I do. Yeah. There's not a lot of movies you can compare this to. So
it's awesome.
Well, when the new one comes out, we should definitely have you on, dude, because I feel like you and I have like covered, I mean, at least half of the series to now. So
yeah, definitely.
Have you seen Ash vs. Evil Dead?
The movie, yes. The show, no.
There is no movie. Ash vs. Evil Dead?
Oh no, I was thinking of
Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because that's like kind of in the same universe or something, right?
That's like a spoof of just like...
Right. It's like something kind of there, but I've watched a couple episodes of the show, but I honestly couldn't really get into it. Like I don't like it when they take the best parts and just hammer them home.
It's gory. It is gory, and it is just
Yeah.
kind of over the top. But I don't know. I like it. I want to rewatch it. It's been a few years.
Yeah,
I
it's
just
been a while since I think I gave it a shot when it first came out. I'll do it again.
I don't know what it is. I don't know. I just I love Bruce Campbell so much, and I just love the like he's back.
Yeah. I love how much he loves this.
I know. So, well, it is kind of what like gave him a career. So I guess it's kind of like, yeah, I gotta. Well, I think it's about time we spin that wheel. I'm gonna have to do it this week because Eric is in Vegas. Hope you're wearing sunscreen, Eric. Anyways, all right, let's get it going. Spinning. All right, so we got The Entity from 1982. That is a really scary one, so I'm very excited for Eric to have to suffer through that one. So, hey, Matt, thank you so much for joining, dude.
It is always a pleasure. I'm so glad. I like that. I think Dominic and I were in the lead for most frequent guests.
Yeah, we'll have to next time I have one of you guys on. We'll have like a scoreboard and we'll look at it and we'll see the exact one. It's yeah, one. I feel like you guys have got to be neck and neck.
Yeah, I think he might have me on a couple because I think he did some of the Star Wars stuff or maybe something like that. But like I didn't do any Boba Fett or something. But I will say I loved the Misery episode. That was a awesome episode.
Dude, the thing that I love about Dom is he reads the book before and the movie, so he always can like answer all these questions. Where I'm like, why is she like this?
Yeah, it felt like you guys were like sitting crisscross applesauce listening to him tell you of like how Misery really went.
No, that's how it always feels too. I love that. No, Dom, yeah, I mean we'll have him on soon again. So, but yeah, we're gonna do a scoreboard thing.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, everybody, thank you so much for listening in. If you haven't had a chance yet, we did our episode on X on Fresh Film Fridays, which was an awesome new A24 film. And then last week on Wheel of Horror, we did Turistas. So you can check both of those out. We'll see you this Friday with the new Fresh Film Fridays. And we'll see you next week with The Entity.
Thank you.